Hey guys, Melee here with a quick guide showcasing Mythic Plus rotation. There are currently 3 builds you can play in Mythic Plus, but I wouldn't recommend playing 2 of them until we get into higher keys. In this video, I'm only going to be covering 2 of them, Templar with and without Execution Sentence. First, I'm going to touch on a few of the talents that make this build good. I'm not going to be going over everything, just a few of the important ones. Radiant Glory gives you wings every 30 seconds when you cast your Wake of Ashes, which means that Crusade will give you a big haste buff every 30 seconds because you'll have wings. Quicken Invocation gives you Divine Toll every 30 seconds, and what Divine Toll is going to do is give you 7 instant stacks of Sanctification as well as passive damage from your Divine Hammers. These are talents that synergize well together right now, giving you very good damage for the early content that we have. You can still play this build in High Mythic Plus, but only if you have other classes making up for the lack of prior damage, which brings me to the next topic. When you should take Execution Sentence. Things to note right now: Execution Sentence is now a funnel ability. Your initial Execution Sentence cast must hit all the targets in order for the damage done to them to funnel into the main target. The main target is supposed to take 20% of the holy damage dealt to all targets that were initially affected by your Execution Sentence, but it is currently broken. They're only taking 10% of the holy damage. If that gets fixed, Ret will end up in a very good spot for prio damage in Mythic Plus, and even if it doesn't get fixed, I will still be playing Execution Sentence in higher keys, where the pulls start lining up better with 1-minute cooldowns. Alright, very quickly I want to show you my stats. Right now I'm crit mastery heavy with pretty low haste. However, I do recommend grabbing the Simulation Craft add-on and simming your character to see what's best for you over at raid bots. I usually use a dungeon route sim to sim for Mythic Plus. I will be making a separate guide on this when the dungeon route input becomes available. Now we get to jump right into the rotation. So your opener always stays the same. You cast Blade of Justice, Wake of Ashes, Hammer of Light, Divine Toll, Divine Storm into your out of cooldown rotation. Now if you're playing with Execution Sentence, it changes slightly. Blade of Justice, you have to cast your Avenging Wrath, Execution Sentence, Wake of Ashes, Hammer of Light, Divine Toll, Divine Storm, and then out of your cooldown rotation. Outside of cooldowns, you have 2 builders and 2 spenders. Blade of Justice is going to be your priority builder that you want to press as soon as it's up. Then you have Judgment and Hammer of Wrath. This is the same button now, but your Judgment turns into Hammer of Wrath while you're in wings. The goal is to build enough holy power for a spender while still managing it so that you don't overcap holy power. And with the way Ret feels right now, you will have downtime here and there, so you're going to want to mitigate it as much as possible. The easiest way to look at the rotation outside of cooldowns is build, spend, while putting your main focus on Blade of Justice as your builder. With Blade of Justice being as strong as it is, let's just say I have 3 holy power, which is enough for a spender. If it's off cooldown, I will use my Blade of Justice first and then Divine Storm, just in case my next auto attack resets Blade of Justice. On the other hand, if I have 4 holy power, I will spend first and use Blade after, just to save additional holy power to get more spenders and have less downtime during big pulls. For single target boss fights, the opener stays the same, and outside of cooldowns, prioritize Blade of Justice still and Final Verdict in place of Divine Storm. Anything 2 targets or more, you still Divine Storm. This is just going to be a 30-second demonstration on the rotation. This is my action tracker if you'd want to follow along. One thing you should pay attention to here is when my Art of War procs and I cast Blade of Justice, it throws out a cone frontal that you need to make sure is pointed towards the mobs. One mistake that I see a lot of is improper cooldown usage. Making sure you use your cooldowns at the right time will greatly affect your damage. With the 30-second build, you can almost always pop them as soon as they're up unless the mobs you're killing are very close to dead. An easy way for you to look at it would be to ask yourself, will the mob stay alive for another 12 seconds? If the answer is yes, you should send your cooldowns. Without Radiant Glory, your cooldowns will last 24 seconds. The same logic applies where you want the pull to at least live for another 24 seconds when you pop them, but ideally when you're using 1 minute cooldowns, it means the pulls are lining up almost exactly around 1 minute apart. You're going to have to use your best judgment. Sometimes there are big pulls that could last closer to 2 minutes where you will send your cooldowns twice. Sometimes the pull will last just a little over a minute and you end up holding your cooldowns for the next pull. And sometimes the pull will last a little over a minute, but you know you have a 30-second walk to the next pull or a 30-second RP before the boss spawns, allowing you to use your cooldowns twice and then having them recharge during the downtime. Currently, the only 3 things I'm tracking closely on my UI are Light's Deliverance stacks, my Avenging Wrath, and my next auto attack. All 3 of these things you can track using Blizzard's Cooldown Manager. Tracking all 3 of these adds to your rotation slightly, knowing what button you'll be pressing next. If you get a second Hammer of Light from your Light's Deliverance while you're in your Avenging Wrath time window, you're gonna want to use it before Wings is over. Tracking your auto attacks will help you not overcap Holy Power if you see you have a swing coming up, or it will let you know you can press a spender as soon as the auto attack hits and gives you the extra Holy Power that you need. Last but not least, I'm going to leave you guys with some tips going into this season. You definitely want to play with a Shaman as a Ret Paladin this season. Sky Fury now affects Crusading Strike's auto attacks, which gives them a 20% chance to instantly strike again. This is insanely good and gives Ret a lot less downtime. You do have Divine Shield, but it's on a 4-minute cooldown. Get familiar with the damage going out in these dungeons to really know when you're safe and when you need to use your 1-minute cooldown. Ret Paladins are still very squishy to anything non-physical, and dying means you're losing out on a lot of damage. Once you get comfortable with the basics, you're gonna want to make good use of your utility. There are dungeons this season where you can really utilize Blessing of Freedom and Blessing of Protection to remove certain snares or bleeds that really help mitigate the damage going out. For example, the Chains of Subjugation cast from Subjugators in Seat, or Suppression Shield cast by Flux Engineers in Nexus Point can be removed with Freedom, just to name a couple. I will be coming out with a full utility guide in the near future. Lay on Hands and Blessing of Sacrifice can be used as extra defensives for your tank, or they can be used situationally in emergencies, requiring quick reflexes and monitoring your team's party frames closely. Righteous Protection talent removes all poison and disease, while Blessing of Sacrifice is active on that target. Things like this can be used in situations like the first boss in Academy to prevent any Lasher toxins from being put on the tank during the ad phase. Thank you guys for watching. That's all I got for now. Please throw the video a like so it gets sent out to everyone who needs to see it. Feel free to comment below with any questions or join the Discord and I'd be happy to answer them there as well. I will catch you on the next one. Peace.